Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is my Turkey Sub here, back again today as one of your analysts for Season 2 of the Delta Battle League. In today's video, we're going to be tackling the post-preseason power rankings, or the week before the regular season begins. Once the preseason started, each team had 14 Pokemon. At this point, they all have cut their rosters down to 11, and that is essentially what we're going to be ranking them on this week. Is how those drops have affected their roster in a positive way or a negative way. Or both. I don't know if that's possible, but so we're not going to be judging based off of the preseason their records or their differentials at this point. Essentially, because we know that a lot of people tend to play around with wacky sets during preseason and wacky teams, so it wouldn't be fair to judge them off that at this point. Once the regular season begins, that is something we will be basing it off of, as records and differential and stuff, because that's when teams are going to be using their real teams, real sets, whatnot. So this week we have myself, my ratings, and Mini Munch ratings. Mini Munch's ratings. Unfortunately, Mopman could not be with us this week. He is on vacation with his family, so he was not able to get any ratings in this week. So, but we still have two ratings, so we can still compare those. We're going to kind of compare what we have similar, different, like last week. And a big thing I'm going to go over this week is kind of the big jumps or the big drops in ratings for the certain teams this week. Because certain teams jumped a lot and they dropped a lot. As far as their standings. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, guys. So we are back here again. At this point, I want you guys to you can pause the video, I guess, and take a look at the ratings. And as you can see on the screen, I also have added how much teams have either jumped. Excuse me. How much teams have either jumped or how much they have dropped. Essentially, that's just kind of show you guys, where we thought those teams, if they did better this week or not. So yeah, let's get right into it. First off, we'll start at the top of the list here. On my first two, you can see that the Hamilton Heracrosses, Jesus, and the Golden State Wartortles have kind of stayed the same. Their drops really didn't affect them that much, in my mind. The Golden State Wartortles a little bit more than the Heracrosses. They did drop Volcarona, Scrafty, and Granbull. Volcarona essentially was the reason why I kind of put them as number one this week. Volcarona is a great threat in any format. That was his weakness to rocks, but he really didn't have many other rock weaknesses on the team. So, it wasn't like he needed to get rid of something for that reason. The Hamilton Heracrosses, the reason why they stayed number one in my book is essentially because they still have the best team, in my opinion, on paper. Who they got rid of Sandslash, Girder, and Scyther, three Pokemon who were maybe questionable to have on the team in the first place. Their core is still very good. So they're, in my mind, the team to beat at this point. As you can see on his list, he's got the Cincinnati Umbreons and the Omaha Omastars. He kept the Cincinnati Umbreons as number one on his list this week. Excuse my paper flipping. I have all my notes here in front of me. The Umbreons, he kept them. They dropped Darmanitan, Glaceon, and Jellicent. As you can see on my list, they are number 4. They were number 3 last week. So they dropped Darmanitan, Glaceon, and Jellicent. Darmanitan and Jellicent, in my mind, were two questionable drops. They still have Pokemon like Armaldo, Typhlosion, Magnezone, Pokemon who, in my mind, don't make as much of a difference as the other ones would. However, they're still a talented roster. They do have Mega Gardevoir, which is very talented. He has the Omaha Omastars as number 2. That is up 1 from his rating of, they were rating 3 last week. They dropped Ninetales, Dusclops, and Hariyama. On my list, as you can see, they're number 6. I dropped down 1 from number 5. In my mind, dropping Ninetales and Hariyama is questionable. And they kept Gourgeist and Escavalier. So not that his team is bad. I don't know how he's going to run the team. I like Hariyama personally. I like Ninetales personally. And Dusclops. Dusclops is a very bulky EVL8 set. Nonsense like that. So I'm curious to see. As you can see right here, we both have the Tampa Bay Duskulleers as number 3. On my list, I jumped them up 5 ratings. They were number 8 last week on my list, and Mini Munch jumped them up number 2, or 2 more ratings. They dropped Victini, Livani, and Malamar this week, which are decent actually to get rid of them. Livani was a big fire weakness and a flying weakness, and Malamar was a bug weakness. Huge bug weakness, and so was Victini there. The knockoff and the bug, 2 things that he doesn't like to take. So I thought that those were good drops, and his core is still really good. He does have Gliscor and Salamence, which are both 4 times weak to ice, and Crobat, which is 2 times weak to ice. But he has, Mega Metagross and Rotom Wash to kind of counter that. And so that's a team that I see being very good in my opinion. Moving along here, as you can see on his list, I know I ranked the Golden State Wartortles at number 2. He dropped them down to number 8. Now, I don't really see why. It's tough for me to say at this point why he did that. Yeah. It's hard to see the weaknesses that are very, blaring, because I don't see very many. So as to why he did that, I couldn't tell you, but maybe his weight rating will change, within the next week or so. Heading on towards the middle of the list here, I have the Kansas City Nidokings at number 7. I dropped them down 3 ratings from last week. On my list, if you don't mind here, they dropped Nidoking, their mascot, Gligar, and Bouffalant. 3 questionable drops, in my opinion. If we start at the top of their list here, their first 3 mons, Latias, Mega Absol, and Crawdaunt. 3 blaring fairy weaknesses there, and Nidoking stopped that tremendously. And so did Gligar, because he's Eviolite, he can eat up anything. And down the list, he's got Umbreon, Tyrantrum, both weak to fairy. So it's a big blaring weakness that Nidoking could take care of at some point, and he got rid of them, which is questionable to me. So that's why I kind of dropped them. He moved them up from number 6 to 5. They're still a really great team. I don't necessarily know if his drops reflected that rating or not. But I'm curious to see what they do here. Going down towards the bottom of the list here, let's see. I have Vivipride at number 10. I kept them there from last week. He dropped them from number 7 to number 9. I'm going to go over their team real fast. Their drops. I'm only going to do... obviously, I can't go over every team, guys. I know I say this in every one. I'm going to do this in probably one more team at this point. Don't mind my paper. Their Vivipride still has, that Landorus 4 times ice, Mega Sceptile 4 times ice, Dragonite 4 times ice, Pyroar and Delphox with that water weakness, and Landorus, obviously. It's questionable at this point. Obviously I don't want to rank them at number 12 or anything, I don't think the team was that, awful, but I'm curious to see how they improve throughout the course of the season through our rankings and through how they use this team. They did drop Chandelure, Ariados, and Meganium. Ariados and Meganium I can see being good drops. They're both weak to fire and flying. Maybe they weren't going to make that much of a difference in the end of the day. So that to me was a decent drop. If we go one more down, we see the Georgia Jigglypuffs at number 12 on my list, as our number 12 on... Oh, so sorry about that there, guys. My headset decided to just die on me. So we're on the Georgia Jigglypuffs here. I dropped them down to number 12. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up their team here. They dropped Dugtrio, Hitmonlee, and Trevenant. 3 of their last mons that they drafted. Trevenant's a great utility mon, and that's kind of a big reason why I dropped him down. So is Hitmonlee. It can be very offensive. Dugtrio is a trapper. Yeah, that doesn't sound right either. But some of his top mons are, Tyranitar, Superior and Breloom with weak to fire. Tyranitar is weak to ground, so is Manectric. Tyranitar is weak to water or grass, so is Starmie, so is Alomomola, so is Quagsire. Tyranitar is weak to fighting, so is Porygon 2, so is Cobalion. So Dugtrio, Hitmonlee, and Trev kind of counter that, and I'm not really sure why he did that. Got rid of them. The last team we're going to be going over here, guys, is the Rotom Fandom. He kept them way low on his list at number 11, plus 1 from last week, but number 12. I moved them from number 7 to number 5. They dropped Chatot, Magneton, and Haunter, the last 3 mons they drafted. I'm still seeing a lot of bulk on his team and not really a lot of offense. I'm thinking, he's bagging on, Zardex and Excadrill. I'm not sure if Excadrill gets Swords Dance or anything, actually. But I'm, feeling like he has to run offensive Excadrill, he has to run offensive Zapdos, offensive Jirachi. There's certainly, I feel like he's going to have to do certain things with a certain mons because everything else is really bulky and not very offensive. So I'm putting him at number 5 because, his team does look a little better than last week. But as far as being a number 11, I'm not entirely sure why they're that low, but, that's part of the fun here, right? So that's going to about wrap up this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you guys smack the like button down below, and make sure you guys check out all the coaches' YouTubes down below. They will all be linked for you guys. I suggest you guys check all of them out if you have not already. And as always, thank you guys for watching.